What is up, people of the internet? This is Brownstone here, coming to you with another video. And in this video, yes, you read the title right. Obi-Wan Kenobi is proof that Disney cares about Star Wars. Now, this isn't your, political propaganda video. Like, I know many people of you may be, I know many of you may be hate clicking on this video just to dislike it. But hear me out first, before you do anything drastic, because, well, I think for all the hate that this show gets, I think it's ultimate proof that the Phantom Menace is wrong, and Disney really does care about Star Wars and its fanbase. So, let me explain why. For instance, this show goes out of its way to bridge Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. That's what it's meant. That's what it's meant to do. So there was a lot of ways that this show could go wrong. But upon rewatching the show for this video, I don't think that it's as bad as people in the Phantom Menace circle or toxic Star Wars fan circle try to make it out to be. Like, really, people just get so mad over Reva that they genuinely ignore all the good things that this show does. Like creating an actual reason, like giving an actual reason as to why Leia remembers her mother, Mother Padme, and Anakin. The show goes out of its way to show Darth Vader or Anakin slowly becoming the Vader we know in A New Hope. Let me explain. So Vader in Revenge of the Sith, well, he's Anakin up until he puts on that suit, and he eventually becomes Darth Vader. But the Anakin Vader in Revenge of the Sith is kind of, well, what's the word for it? What's the word for this? Kind of volatile and reckless and stuff. And the Vader in A New Hope is more calm and calculated and stuff, as many people have pointed out. So how do we get there? Well, in the Kenobi show, we see a Darth Vader that's in his earliest form. We saw him slowly transition into the Vader of A New Hope. It also provides some much needed context for A New Hope, such as why Obi-Wan is suddenly calling Vader Darth in this Darth instead of Anakin. In A New Hope, obviously George Lucas didn't have the Vader "I am your father" reveal planned out from day one. So with a series like this, how do you explain that? For all the nostalgia people have towards the original trilogy, there are some plot holes created with the prequel's existence, and I think that's a reality many people in the Star Wars fandom have to come to terms with. Well, maybe not anymore, because this show does a very good job of explaining them. So the reason why Obi-Wan calls Vader Darth in A New Hope is explained through their climactic duel, which was very heavily marketed as the rematch of the century. Does it live up to that? Not really. It's a pretty great fight and final confrontation, that's for sure. But I don't think it can quite match up to the duel in Revenge of the Sith. That duel was something else altogether. So yeah, but what I like that it does is kind of close the bridge on Vader being saved, at least in that moment. You see, the only way Vader was able to turn back to the light was through the love of his son, Luke Skywalker. Yeah, we had a few hints of his light side through Ahsoka in Star Wars Rebels, and a bit of it here. What with all the flashbacks to Anakin training with Obi-Wan and stuff, there are hints of his light side, but Vader is too far gone at this moment. But what I like that the duel does is really close that gap for the time being. It really closes Obi-Wan's desire to save Vader, save Anakin, because if you remember in A New Hope, well, Obi-Wan had lost all hope. That's why he said instead of Anakin, instead of Vader is your father. He says Vader betrayed and murdered your father. And again, George Lucas didn't have this planned out from day one. But what I like that this does is kind of literally and figuratively show how Vader has in fact killed Anakin. Because we don't see Vader fully turn back to the light until much later. So the script writers, the director, all the creative team behind this show went out of their way to make sure nothing contradicted the original trilogy. Oh, Obi-Wan calls Vader Darth in New Hope. We gotta explain that. Leia remembers her mother, Padme. We gotta explain that. So that really proves that the creative team behind this show really had a knack for all these plot holes. There's this one moment where like young Leia and Obi-Wan talk about Anakin. Like, it's a subtle nod. And then there's this other moment, I forgot where in the story, in the series it is, but like it's explained how Leia remembers her mother, which was a big glaring plot hole in the originals, because in the Revenge of the Sith, Padme died from childbirth. She died from giving birth to Luke and Leia. So it's explained that she remembers Padme through the Force. And while that's a explanation, it may not be the best explanation, but I think it's a good enough explanation for it. There's only so much of an explanation you can give for this sort of plot hole, because it wasn't really planned out. I mean, the only thing Lucas knew when going into the prequels was that he wanted to chronicle Anakin's turn to Darth Vader. The plot holes, they came later. So yeah. I think the show is severely underrated. It's a great piece of Star Wars content. It deserves to be up there with The Mandalorian, and so yeah. I know there's been a lot of review bombing on this show, and I like to talk about that a little bit, because we can't do a video without dunking on the Phantom Menace. So in this, like the Phantom Menace, toxic Star Wars fans, like there was review bombing and harassment. Harassment on the part of these fans, and I'm not sure I can necessarily call them fans, but for the sake of this video, we'll call them fans. So yeah, there was a lot of harassment. Moses Ingram, the woman who played the actress who played the Inquisitor Reva, she received a lot of harassment, and not to mention that, well, this show was absolutely dunked on by toxic Star Wars fans. And the reason for that being, well, it's from Disney. I know this video is like about proving how Disney respects the original Star Wars canon, but I just can't help but mention that, because like when mentioning this show, you have to mention what went on with the toxic fandom. I'll be covering in detail in a different video how the Phantom Menace has gotten absolutely despicable, but yeah, the official Star Wars Lucasfilm is aware of that now, so like they warned the actress that she would receive harassment. She ended up receiving harassment anyway, but it's good that Lucasfilm is looking out for their employees now, because they're aware of how toxic the fandom can be. But yeah, I think despite all the review bombing, you should absolutely see this show. Pay no attention to any of low ratings. If you want to see a show that involves Obi-Wan Kenobi and successfully bridges Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope in a very smart way, okay, plus see the quote-unquote rematch of the century that was heavily advertised, well, this show is definitely for you. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.